Okay, so the first one is Nadia, but I cannot see you. Whoever is ready is fine for me. Okay.
I will go now. Can I first?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, hello, David.
Hello. Okay, I will play first movement by Sonata Romantica Ponce.
Okay, great. Do you have the score, or do you have a way to share your screen so that I can have the score?
I don't have notes PDF. I don't have.
Okay, just to start playing, I will hear you and I will check for the. I will look for the score in a minute.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautifully played. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, okay, how long have you been playing this?
Maybe half years,
Okay.
6 months.
Well, the main thing that I would like to point out is that it's very well played. You have a very solid technique, and it was a good performance, I must say. The only thing that I lack a little bit at some point is a very strict sense of rhythm. Speaking about not only tempo, like metronome-like, but also the internal subdivisions of the beat. It's not so precise at times, especially during the development of the piece, during the middle section. I don't think it's something that it's technically difficult for you. I think you can play it without any problem. And in it, I don't know if you have the feeling that you're playing too slow and you try to rush it up a little bit. But it doesn't work so well. Actually, it's better to maintain a steady tempo and a very precise and striking performance rhythm wise, and the general impression of velocity is better. Although in this movement, it's not a virtuoso piece, so it's something else, right? It's a big sonata, and the first movement of a big sonata, which is it's not like a fourth movement of sonata. This is a much more dense music, and it's based on the I don't know how to say it in English. It's like the not fight, but it's a mixture and the contrast between two themes and how it develops and the material develops in the middle section. So it's a sonata form, right? What I want to say is that the most important thing is not so much as to play virtuoso, like just to show the character of each of the themes, make a clear exposition of them, and then working on the small parts, on the small motives that are taken out of them during the development. It's not the same to expose a big theme than to highlight the small motifs that the composer is developing during the development of the piece, right? Could we start from the beginning, and then I will speak about some more details?
Okay, can I start slowly or just?
Sorry? No, sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's not a matter of tempo. I didn't mean that you should play slower. It's just being more strict with the tempo. I think the tempo that you were playing before was lovely. It was really fitting. Yes. Da, da, di, do, 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 di. just before that part, I'm sorry I don't have bar numbers in this
No.
score.
Okay.
But when you start with the dotted rhythm, yum dum ba bum tim da dum.
Yeah.
In general, it's yeah. In general, you have a little tendency to play it a little bit like a triplet, like a swing. I like da 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 dee, da da. Like the dotted rhythm is too soft. And I think if I mean Ponce was he was a good composer, and he was someone who really knew music and really knew how to write music. I think if he writes a dotted rhythm, it's because he wants it really dotted, just precise. Ta 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 ti, ta 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 ta. If if you think about the subdivision in 16 notes, I think it will be easier to keep the precise rhythm, dotted rhythm. Yeah, and also I think before maybe it's my edition, but before you start with the triplets, I think you play some wrong notes, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's my edition. Can you play a little bit before?
I will start with.
Okay. Yeah, in that part you rest a little bit. When you have this figure, you rest a little bit the rhythm. Ta ta tika taka tika 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 taka. Taka ta taka ta tika 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 to tita ta 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 taka tika tika taka tika tika to ti. Don't do that, just don't push it too much. Play maintain a steady tempo. This is metronome. Can you try it a little again? Yeah. And once again, please. Okay, yeah, I know what it was sounding, what it was not sounding so natural. It's the accentuation because you play it like if it was a group of 4 16th notes and 2 16th notes. So the accent, you're putting it on the C double sharp.
Yes, yes.
And it should be, the accent should be on the D sharp, just before the beginning of the triplet. And you play the accent every 4 notes, and it should be every 3. It's a little bit complicated because it's because of how it's written. I will take it back. You know, the accent should, you're playing like, and it should be. You see? Can you try? No. From ta ta ti ta ta. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And once again, a tempo. Tita ta tito 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 tito. Okay, just a small detail. I think I don't know. It might be because of the video and the microphone because it compressed the sound really a lot. I cannot hear a progression between the beginning of the phrase and the end. You have a crescendo from piano to fortissimo, and I don't really I cannot really hear that.
Uh-huh. I know that. I
But
actually playing
I
that.
think I think it might be because of the microphone. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and also,
Yes, yes, I playing
yeah, and as it's written, the last B that you have, the last note of the triplet,
that. Okay.
it it should be short. I think you have one full bar of silence, which is called that in orchestral music they usually call it gran pausa. It's when everything is suddenly silent. So
Okay.
I
And
think it should yakiti tikiti takiti tikiti immediate silence, and I would count an entire bar of silence. You start the next phrase a little bit too early, I think. So yakiti takiti takiti takita. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, da, di, da, 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 di. Can you try it? One, two, three, four. Okay. In all this, can we have a little bit more of the middle voice? We have do, di, la, do. The middle voice that it goes chromatically down. I think
yes,
that's interesting. That's an interesting part of the harmony that it's not so clearly hearable. Can you try pointing it out a little bit more? Better. Okay. 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 Well, before you didn't play the repetition, right? The first time
yes.
you
No,
played the piece.
we don't have too much time.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed, it was better. Can we start from the development now to see a little bit what happens there? Okay, in this part it happens a little bit the same. That you're putting the accent on the C sharp, and as it's written, it shouldn't be there.
Can I try?
Yes. That's it's a little bit tricky because each time you have the accent, one time on the B and the other time on the C. Ti ta 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 I ta ta I ta ta I ta ti. And also because you're playing it with a slur, right?
Mm-hmm.
So play. Yeah, you're putting too much accent on the second note of the slur. That's why it sounds a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Yeah, better. Yes, that was a little better. We continue because we don't have much time left. Can we try from 2 bars before the tempo?
Okay.
I think I don't like the proportion of the retardando. I think it's a little bit of proportion. Use that ta ti ti ta de ta ti 1 2 1 2 1 2 ta ti do ti. It's
I,
think
you,
about the subdivision. I think
sorry.
I think if you think about the subdivision, it will help you to play a better proportion of ralentando in there.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Okay.
I, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
So if you're playing triplets, right, and with the melody on the bass, on the bass,
Okay.
just think about the triplets. Then those triplets become duplets. I don't know how to say it in English, but a single crochet, and then you have the retardando. Think about the subdivision. Taca ta taca ta tique ti taqui ta tico tico taco
Uh-huh.
taco ron da di ro do do di. And
Okay.
the
I play
proportion
with
will work better.
small. I play with small retardando. No, too much.
Yes, it's very small, but still it has to be in proportion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not speaking about the quantity of retardando. You can apply a bit of retardando, or you can play a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
it's about the proportion. It has to be in proportion what was behind and what's after. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Can you? I think if you think about the subdivision, it works so much better. Really,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much easier to make a good proportion. Can you try? Yeah, a couple of bars before the attempt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's too much ralentando. You don't need to play that much ralentando. But yeah,
Okay. I understand.
yes, that was good. Yes, that's in proportion.
Okay, okay, understand.
Yes, and it's not so much. You can play a bigger ralentando. You can play a ralentando that is not so exaggerated, but it's in a proportion, right?
Yes, yes.
And it's connected with the music that was happening before and what's happening left. You have this beautiful film that appears again. Sorry because we don't have more time left, I
Yes,
think,
infinite.
and it's so difficult. Yeah, it's so difficult to to give a lesson with
Yes,
like this and without the score and without having the opportunity to write on the score and to not even to tell you the exact bar number. But okay, well, that's my main concerns about your performing were those again. Sorry, because I have to think for the word in English. The accuracy of the rhythm,
okay.
understanding it not just like the beat of the metronome, but also a combination with the subdivision of the notes inside the beat and with the I don't know how to say it in English, agogica, agogy. I don't know how to say it in English, but the way you place the accents.
Okay.
What we were working on. That if you have the triplet and you are putting the accent one note to the right, let's say, uh, it's like you're creating a different polyrhythm, which sometimes that works. For example, I'm thinking about Ponte in Femme Barrière and Final. It happens all the time, especially in the finale. He's always changing accents and creating kind of polyrhythms. In this piece, I don't think that's his intention. If he writes that rhythm, it's not only because he wants that duration, but because he wants also a very specific way of putting the accents together. You understand?
Yes, yes.
And then about the because we don't have much time left about the development. Okay, as in every development in the classic romantic period, it's working with small motifs taken from the themes from before, right? And making modulations with. Sorry. Yeah. Now I there was a noise that I'm not hearing anymore. What I was telling you, David. Sorry because we were all kicked out of the conversation. When you have all these kind of modulations inside of development, what they would really do in general, not only for this piece, for every time you play a first movement of sonata, is to really point out each one of the entrances and also to look for different colors for each tonality. Whenever you modulate, it's I don't know, and A flat major does not have the same color as I don't know C sharp minor. Try to look for different different colors each time that the motif appears on a different tonality. And then when just to end up the lesson, when you come back to the recapitulation, then when you play a recapitulation, you don't need to do so much work because it's something that it's in your memory, right? It's the themes that are exposed. It's something that it's in your memory from before. It's just in the normally in the main tonality, but it's like coming back home. So you don't really have to take so much attention to the detail or to point out each one of the little details in it. It's if you just play along and make a good exposition again of the themes, it should work. Um, and I don't know. In general, that's what I can tell you. I mean, it's a first movement of sonata. We could be working on this really for hours if we go deep on detail and start to analyze each phrase. But yeah, it's the time we have. Do you have any doubts or some questions that you would like to ask or
No,
whatever?
uh,
You know,
no, I understand everything. Thank you very much for this kind of details.
I'm not hearing you now. Sorry.
Thank you very much for these details. I
Ah,
don't
okay. Yeah, now I heard.
have any question for. I understand everything.
You're welcome, and thank you for playing so beautifully.
Thank you.
So now it's Christina.
Hi,
Hello.
hello.
So, what are you going to play?
Guardame las vacas by Narvaez.
Narvaez. Okay, I hear you. Good, good. Again, do you have the score for this so that we can share my screen or something?
I don't understand.
Mm, the score. Do you have it? The score, the music.
Ali imaš note da šeruješ preko kompjutera?
I have notes of paper.
Yeah. Okay. But no, it's for me because there are different editions of this. One of them with more variations, some of them with less variations. So, but anyways, we will try to work like this. It was nice place, really, really nice play. How old are you, by the way? Because you're quite young, right?
What?
Koliko imaš godina?
13.
Okay, yeah. You're playing quite well.
Mnogo čujem nešto, ne znam zašto.
Yeah. I was saying that you're really playing quite well for such a young age. Um, could we start from the beginning so that I can tell you something, and I will try to look for the score in the meanwhile.
Repeat.
That if you can play from the beginning, and then I will tell you some. Okay. Yes. We can work till there. Um, do you know what the diferencias are? What's the form of this piece? No. It's the diferencias as a musical form is the predecessor of the theme and variations that will appear later and will be developed during the centuries after. And well, in here it's they work over an harmonic scheme that it's in Spain it was called Guárdame las vacas, and in Italy it was called Romanesca, but it's a harmonic scheme that over which the composers developed the different variations and I mean with scales and virtuoso things to show their technical abilities. Okay, one says this. You have, and during the variations, you have several harmonic points that are very clear, and they are like columns that make the structure work. And in the meantime, you have like these little fast scales that are moving in between, but then come to a rest at a certain place, right? What I want to say is that those columns must be placed always in a very steady tempo. There has to be a tempo in which these harmonic important points fall in, but what happens in the meantime can be a little bit more free. So you can play these scales a little bit out of tempo, if you want to say it like that. For example, let's take the second variation. When you have you don't need to play them all. But you can play them a little bit more freely. Perdón, sorry. You don't need to play them precisely like 16 notes. I'm sorry because I don't know how to read with the third string or left sharp. But you don't need to play all the 16th notes like you're playing with a metronome. You can be a little bit more free in between. A little bit of rubato if you want to think it like in that way. Well, they didn't use rubato during Renaissance, but you can think of it like that. Can you try playing that in the second variation, please? And try, Cristina, sorry. Can you try play it in the, not so in tempo, like a bit more free? Play like a little bit of crescendo. When it goes up, play a little bit crescendo. When it goes down, try to play a little bit diminuendo. And then, like, it's like waves of notes, like. Not so much like a metronome. Can you try it once?
Kristina, sviraj malo slobodnije. Ne da sviraš kao pod metronomom, to je teo da ti kaže. Slobodnije malo sviraj. Jel razumeš?
Valjda, aha, okej, ja sam nešto drugo.
I will translate.
Okay, thank you, David. Yeah, because I think it was being a problem, and I was
Okay.
no problem. Thank you.
Da.
Okay, let's in this variation. Yeah, I think you're rushing it a little bit, and I mean it's normal because it's more difficult. But even if what I told you before that you have to be more free at some point, but you also have to have like an internal tempo that stays in there and serves like a base. And now I think you were rushing it a little bit. Can we play once again this fourth variation? Yeah. Okay, okay. Let's work on this one. And this last variation you were playing. Can you play the last note of the bar, the last quarter note, a little bit more? Well, actually, the last two notes of the bar, a little bit more separated, just a little bit more articulated, so we can hear the separate rhythms better. Like. The last two notes, like a little bit more of articulation in there. Can you try? Okay, Christina. It's you don't need to play more accent on the first note of the bar. It's just a matter of the duration of the note. Sorry. It's shorter. But it's not with a stronger accent. It's just a little bit shorter, separated one from another.
Sviraj kraće zadnje dve note. Ta ta ti, ta ta tam, pam, pam. Kraće.
Zadnje dve.
Da, u toj varijaciji.
In the end of the variation, there's one of the voices that I cannot hear clearly. When I have. I hear you playing like, and I want to hear this. Even if you play the beat too. But there's a middle voice that it's not the middle voice, it's actually the main voice, but it's quite interesting because then it appears the dissonance, the second major dissonance, that then it resolves on the G sharp. And I want to hear that a little bit clearer. Can you try, please? It can a little bit. It can be better. Just think about that voice. Do, si, la, sol, la. Better. That's the idea. And then when you have this kind of movements, well, here. With a little bit more flow. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like put some dynamics on it. Think of a long line that it it comes here. You have like two rows of notes till here, and then another one until here. Think about longer rows of notes. Can you play that? Yeah, maybe that was better. Continue. I was saying that was better. No, keep on playing. I was just saying that now you played it right. And continue playing, please.
Šta? Ne razumem.
Yeah, and continue playing.
Nastavi da sviraš.
Iz početka, a?
No, but not from the beginning. Not from the beginning. After the variation that we were just working on.
Which part?
I don't have bar numbers. It's just after the variation that we were working on now.
After
There.
posle varijacije.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's 6. It's time already. It's well, you're playing beautifully for your age, I must say. And the piece is, I mean, you're playing it very well. The only thing that I will do is trying to be, now that everything is in place and that you technically control the piece, I would try to look for, as we were working on, to look for longer lines, more dynamics, more freedom in the phrasing, and taking care of the polyphony when you have it, of the middle voices, because most of the times it's more hearable the bass and the upper voice than the middle voices, which are also important. And also, if you want to try it, in this period, it was very common that the scales with they called redobles during the Spanish Renaissance, they used to play them instead of with MA like we do nowadays. They used to play them with figeta, with PI, and it's something interesting if you want to work on it, because then you will, it automatically creates another different kind of phrasing and of articulation, like it's the kind of articulation and of accents that it creates is a little bit different. It's more similar to playing with. It comes from the medieval age when they used to play with a pick, and then they translated it into PI. and it creates some different kind of flow that suits very well this music. I don't know. If you want to try it, it's something that it's a little bit more uncomfortable in the beginning because we are not so used to this combination of fingers. But I think it deserves to at least try it, and then if it works for you, I will keep it, and if it doesn't work, just play it like you do because it sounds very well. And so basically, and that's it because it's time, and at 6, somebody else should have to listen. So thank you for playing and keep on because you're doing a very nice job.
Bye.
Ciao.
Može li mi neko reći što je rekao?
So, who's next now? Nadia? Yep. Hello. Unmute your mic, please, because I cannot hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I do.
Hello.
Hello. So, sorry, that's not what is right. We need to create a new link. Okay. 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 We need to create a new link for the room because this will expire in 8 minutes, and so it will cut off the connection like before. So I think Dalibor is going to send it to the mail, and then we enter the new chat room. Okay.
Yes, I have videos on YouTube, but if you want to see,
Sure,
my
sure.
name.
Yes, you added. If you added me on Facebook, I have just accepted you. Just send them to me, and
Okay. I will send you my.
yes, sure. And you just contact me, and I will take a look for sure.
Okay.
And so I think Nadia is here or not, but I cannot see her. Yeah, now I see her.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. So, what are you going to play?
I'm going to play in Campanas de Alba.
Ah, Flame de la Maza, Tremolo. Nice. Sure,
Can I start?
yes, sure. I will look for the score, but you can start playing whenever you want. Good, beautiful. Could I ask you, how do you work on your tremolo? And can you open your mic, please? Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how do you work on your tremolo usually?
I'm doing it for 2 months.
Yes, but how do you practice it? The technique, the tremolo technique. What exercises do you do, or how do you work on it?
I just do practice this really slow.
Okay, because I think it's working. Your tremolo is working. It's just a little bit slow, and I think like you're still need to put too much control on it. It's not completely inside the hand. It's not, and I think it's not yet a natural movement in the hand. So I would suggest you some exercises for working on it. For improving a little bit so to teach your hand to play tremolo with much less effort. I'm going to put this down. For example, when you just with open strings, I would practice it. For example, each time putting the accent on a different finger. For example, A. In the M, or I, and then it will create a much more balanced tremolo, because you will be able to play this in the same volume and with all the fingers. Also, for above all, when you play when you have tremolo in second string, that you have it quite sometimes here in this piece. I think it will also another way to practice it. It's much easier. It's to prepare your A finger on the string, just for practicing. Of course, when you're playing, you don't prepare the finger because you cut the legato, right? But for practicing, I would practice preparing the A. When you play with thumb, the A is already prepared on the string. Another way to do it is practicing the opposite tremolo for creating more muscle in your hand. Instead of playing A, M, I would suggest, just for working on technique, playing the opposite. P, I, M, A.
Mm-hmm.
Like this. And then another exercise that works really well, at least for me, is to play in 5 notes tremolo, including the pinky, like this. So pinky, A, M, I. Sorry. Using the small finger, just for working on the technique. I think this kind of exercises will help to create a more balanced tremolo, and also to practice in different to practice the piece in different ways, so that in the end, your hand will naturalize the movement much easier, which is what I think that you're lacking a bit yet. It's normal because tremolo is really tricky for everyone, I think, except from some people who are like touched by God and they have a very good natural tremolo without even practicing. But for normal people, it's something that it takes some time to develop. And another thing that I would like to tell you is that tremolo in general, no, well, not in general, tremolo is one way that the guitar has for playing long lines, long melodies. We cannot maintain a long note with the same volume or making a crescendo inside a note like the violin players do, or singers, or cello players, or wind players, whoever except from piano players and guitarists. In the piano and the guitar, once you play one note, you cannot do anything else with the note. Maybe just if you can play some vibrato on it, but you cannot do anything else with the note. And tremolo is a way that the guitar has for trying to imitate these long notes, these long melodies that other instruments can play without any problem. We do it through the tremolo. So, and we have one bass that we play with the thumb, and one melody that we play with the other three fingers, repeating the note, right? So I would now you're playing it very well, but it sounds a little bit I don't know how to say it in English. It lacks a little bit of direction. I think you should try to imitate more of a singing line. I mean, this has to be with dynamics on the one hand, and with phrasing on the other hand. Phrasing, rubato, acelerando, retardando, a mixture of everything, so that you can play a long phrase that it has a dynamic development and also some rhythmical development. Understanding rhythm in relation with phrasing, taking a bit more time in some notes, maybe rushing it a little bit when you need to create a little bit more of tension. I don't know if you understand what I'm meaning. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we start from the beginning and tell you some things, please? Just, yeah, look, for example, in this beginning, you can play, you're playing it a little bit like, I'm going to exaggerate it. Yeah, you're not playing like this. I'm going just exaggerating. And I would like to hear something more like, sorry. Like if it was singing. Try to create a line, a phrase. Can you try, please? Yeah, yeah, maybe in there it was not a good point to work on that. Can just keep on playing a little bit, please.
Play from beginning.
Yes, yes. In this part, when this start, try to think about it like a long line. But just think in longer lines. And here you can start mezzo piano and then a little bit crescendo and then relax it a little bit more. Try to think like a long singing melody and try to play it in that way. Could you try a little bit from the mezzo piano a tempo? Yeah, for example, in those two bars before the new tempo, when you have the melody and the bass, you can in there we have a single note, a single repeated B, and then in here the melodic interest is on the bass. Could you try to create something interesting with that? Like, and then you can play, yes, you can play a little bit retardando before when it's written, poco retardando. And then when it's in the a tempo, you don't play a tempo immediately. You just relax it a little bit. It's called riprendendo in Italian. Like you start at the same tempo where you ended the retardando, and then slowly you come back to the original tempo. Something like this. Okay, will you try? was now it was better. Can we continue? Let's work on the transition to the major part. In the second box, in the second repetition box. Let's try to look for a very smooth transition between the two parts. Like when this enters, sorry. That when the major part ends, it comes in a very smooth way, and it's a contrast with what we have heard before. And before this, we had this part, which is quite melancholic, kind of sad, right? And it's and then we have this small transition, these 2 bars transition. And here comes the light. Which is, I mean, the name of the piece, it's Campanas del Alba, which in Spanish it means alba is the moment of the day in which the sun comes up in the morning. It's I don't remember the word in English. When it sets down, it's twilight, but when it comes up, I don't remember the exact word in English. But it's the moment in which the night turns into day. That's alba. And campanas is the bells, like the bells in the church. So this is the name of the piece is like the bells that are starting to sound when the sun comes up. And I think that this is the part where the sun comes up and the night finishes, when this major part kicks in. So what I wanted to say with that is that the 2 bars before the change of tone of key are very important to create a good connection between the minor and the major part. So we have to try to create a very, very smooth connection between both of them. And then when the major part kicks in, try to look for a brighter sound, a brighter phrasing, something that it creates life somehow. I know it's difficult to explain this, but yeah, it needs to be something lighter, like not so heavy. Also try to create less accents with the bass. Could you try playing a couple of bars before the major key, please? Okay, better. Yes, okay, we have already to finish because it's more than half an hour. But yeah, and recapitulating with what I would recommend you to do, apart from the tremolo exercises that we were working in before, it's that when you play this piece, try to I will dedicate some part of my practicing time to play this without tremolo. Just play the skeleton of the piece, like right. Just try to practice it a little bit like this without the tremolo, just playing the bass and the melody, so that you can hear the melody clearer and look for a phrasing for it. Just like you practice any other piece. Just you take one voice you take the other one and you practice single voices, right? And then in that way, I think it would be easier for you to find the phrasing of the piece in general, and according to dynamics, to where to play retardando, where to take more time, where if you want where to play vibrato, some of these notes, and to create something that it's more singing like we were speaking before, two voices, one singer and one bass player.
Okay.
And yes, in general lines, I would recommend you that one, the working on your tremolo with these exercises that we were speaking about, and try to play in longer lines and to create something more musical out of it, that it doesn't sound so much as a tremolo exercise. Which
Okay.
I mean, the piece of course is a tremolo exercise, but let's try that it doesn't sound so much like it. Okay.
Okay.
And do you
Yeah.
have any questions or something?
No, everything's clear.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need to create another link for the next one, the lesson, or yes, I think there was. You told me that there was another one for 6:30 till 7, but okay, you don't know where it is. Okay, yeah, I just wait. Okay, sure. We can wait 5 more minutes. No problem. Okay, in the meanwhile, I'm just going to drink some water. Okay, let's create a new one. Sorry, I didn't see that my audio was on silent mode. Hello, Natasha. What are you going to play?
I didn't hear you.
What are you going to play? You hear me?
Giuliani Sonata, Opus 15 in
Okay,
major.
Julian. Okay, the whole sonata or the first movement?
Not whole.
The whole sonata?
No, just first.
Ah, just first. Okay, okay. So whenever you want, I hear you. Yep. Yep. Don't worry. If you want, we can work from the beginning, and don't stress yourself. And we can start working from the very beginning of the movement if you want. Okay. Do you hear me? Okay. So let's go to the beginning of the movement. Once again. Yeah. What? Let's just take a look and let's work, for example, with the first phrase. Okay, you have like this very short introduction before the melody of the main theme starts, right? Try to create two separate layers of music. So you have an accompaniment. And then you have the melody over it. Try to separate them really a lot. so that the melody and the accompaniment are clearly separated. Now it was not so clear. I think you're playing the accompaniment a little bit too loud, and so it doesn't let us hear and understand completely perfectly the melody. Can you try that to separate the layers a little bit more? Okay, and now let's create a little bit of more a longer phrasing in all this. It's a one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars, right? And that it would be divided in 2 bars of introduction, and then we have a small phrase of 4 bars, right? Let's try to play those 4 bars in one single impulse without creating any accents in the meanwhile, but just like. And it doesn't mean that it has to be legato. I mean, you have to play with articulation. It's classicism. You need to play with articulation. But what I want to hear is a long, not so long, but still a phrase that goes from a beginning to an end with no interruption. Okay, something like that. Okay, and also I would like to hear a little bit more the chromatism that you have in the 5th bar. Yeah. And now can you play the entire phrase in a row?
Yes.
Okay. And in the end of the phrase, you have silence, right? Quarter note silence. Just respect it. And respect its duration. So I start playing a couple of bars before, okay? 1. So the silence has to have the duration of 1 quarter note, and it's complete silence. And then you start with the second phrase. Okay?
Okay.
And
From where to play?
just take it from the very beginning, and then we'll continue.
Should I?
Okay. Sorry, what were you going to say? You were going to say something. What were you going to say? Sorry, because I interrupted.
Will I play? I get confused. I don't know what to say.
Okay, that it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Look, let's keep on. After you have the exposition of this theme, you have then this part of the octave. and it's in this all this music by Giuliani. I really find it very orchestral like, and the whole time he's trying to, I think he's trying to imitate an orchestra. So then you have like this, these are like the violas and second violins playing this smooth bed in over which the music develops itself. So you have this line. Imagine that this line are, for example, the violas, the second violins, and then the first violins come with the melody. And the same viola and the first violins. And then in here we have, for example, trumpets. I think are the northern notes. So try to look for different colors for these motifs. It cannot be the same as it was before. You have this beautiful melody in the beginning, this beautiful theme, and then you have this. It's a cadence. The only purpose of this is to affirm the tonality of the piece, which is C major. But you can imagine that these are some of the brass playing that melody. I suggest to you that you play it in apoyando, at least the upper voice. So you can also achieve a little bit more of power when it says forte. And then in here, for example, imagine that it's the flutes making a response. And you can play a little bit more in here with more nail, more angle, and piano. And forte again. So you have 3 different colors in 2 bars. And then another different thing starts. Okay. Can you try to do that? To create some like an orchestration of the piece. Just use your imagination a little bit. Can we try playing from the second phrase? So bar 7.
Which bar?
7. Bar 7.
Should I?
Yes, yeah, continue. Now it was much better. Okay, sorry, Natasha. In that part, and when Giuliani writes that sforzando under the la bemol, the A flat, I don't think it means a strong accent above it. It's just an appoggiatura of the real note. the same when it's natural. It's not. I don't think it should be played like. It should be something more like. You understand the difference? In here, you said in the beginning when it's written dolce. Yes, in there, in that part, you really need to point out the articulation, like. But the la sol, that's legato. Dorum, tom, torete, dorum. It's not, but and then something new begins. Okay? Can you play it like that? That part, please.
Okay.
Okay, in this transition, could you play the in most of the notes? If you see, Giuliani writes a dot just below it, right? So he wants it really staccato. The notes that are legato are really legato. The notes that are staccato are really staccato. Like I don't know. I'm going to play it slow but really exaggerated, okay? A little bit faster. And then we come to a super legato. But in the connection part, it is the difference between legato and staccato should be much more evident. Okay, can we try that? 4 bars before the second theme.
I will play it slower.
Yes, sure. And then there's no need to rush. Okay, it's until there. You know, in this, whenever you have to play, not only for this beat, but whenever you are playing a classical sonata form, it's what I'm going to say. It's useful for every time that you need to play a sonata form. Now you were saying that you were going to play it slower, and I told you it's not a problem. And indeed, for the second theme, it's not a problem at all, because usually when you play a sonata form, the second theme is slightly slower than the first one. Also, the character is quite different, and that's also another thing that I wanted to tell you and to work on. The first theme of a sonata form, it's what it was in that time. It was called the first time it was called the masculine theme, and the second theme was called the feminine theme. Okay, that's of course nowadays it's very sexist, and those names are not applied anymore. But the character of the first theme is always much more rhythmical, more aggressive. But overall, it's much more rhythmical. And then the second theme is quite a contrast, and it's much more lyrical, more legato-like, dolce. So the contrast between one and another must be really, really appreciable. I mean, you need to hear a clear contrast between the first and second theme, the rhythmical theme and the lyrical theme. And also the second theme, and this is something very interesting, Richard Wagner has some writings speaking about it, and he always says that the second theme in a sonata form can really be quite slower than the first theme. And it's true. The form itself, the form itself admits to play the second theme a little bit slower in order to accentuate that character. So yeah, I think that the difference between one theme and the other one should be more appreciable, much more hearable. So we don't have much time left, but I would like to hear that and for you to try to create a much bigger contrast between the theme A and the theme B. Could that be possible?
Yes.
So let's go from because we have like 3-4 minutes left. So at least I would like to hear that and to see that you understand that this clear difference between the two themes of the sonata. Okay? Can you play just the exposition of the work, but trying to make this difference between the themes really hearable?
I didn't clearly hear you.
You can't hear me.
Network is.
Okay. Yeah, the network is not working properly, I think. I just wanted you to play the exposition of the piece, but making the difference between the character of the first theme and the second theme very hearable, between the rhythmical, happy, like bouncing theme to the second lyrical legato theme. I want you to exaggerate the character of each one of them much more. Can you play that? From the beginning, just the exposition of the piece.
Should I start?
Yes. Okay.
Should we continue?
Yes, no, it's okay. I wanted to hear what you just said, what you just did. That the contrast between the two themes was hearable. Still, I think you can exaggerate it more. The second theme, it's not really like singing like. Very legato with the line, the direction, the melodic direction should be very clear, and it's just show the contrast of character with the first theme, and after that, when you start with the legato part, that I don't really know how Giuliani wants you to play that, because you have this bow written just above the 4/8 notes, which it's not really playable to play a legato of 4 notes. It's just not playable. But it should sound legato, and even if you cannot play the slurs, the technical slurs, it should sound legato. So try all the notes inside the same bow should be absolutely legato. So for example, in the first bow, when you have sol la si, you can let the G ringing a little bit while you play the other notes. Then you cut the C, the B in here the same, and you cut the F sharp, and here the same. You let them ring until the D, and then the other three you play them really staccato. So it should sound something like this. Sorry. You know, try to maintain the whole bow. I think what Giuliani wants is a big bow that goes from the G till the D of the following bar, like until here. But for sure, the last 3 notes, re, sol, si, are short. And yeah, and then in the following bars, a little bit later, you have this. This. In general, when you play this kind of music, when you play classicism, try to respect the articulation that the composer is writing. I mean, the bows that are written, the bows and the small dots for indicating staccato that are written, they are written for a purpose. And I think we should be really strict with this, because it's articulation is a major key on the music of the classical period. Indeed, it's a major issue in all the music, but in Baroque and classical period, it's one of the keys of the musical language of the time. I mean, articulation is like when we speak, we sometimes we make longer phrases, we put the accent on some syllables of the words, and articulation is that. The articulation is in this period, it's what creates a diction of the music, a clear diction of the music. So I think you should take a little bit more care of that in general in the whole piece, because it's really it's one of the most important parameters that you should take care on classical music, on the classical period, 19th century, beginning of the 19th century. So in general lines of the movement, okay, we have worked only on the exposition because we didn't have time. But I think, first of all, you should take much more care of the articulation that it's written. When it's short, it's really short, and when it's legato, it's absolutely legato. And if it's a long bow, what it's written, you should try to play legato and without accents inside the whole bow. And then I would play a little bit more with exaggerating the character of both themes, and also try to create an orchestration of the music. Use your imagination and try to assign certain passages or certain voices to different instruments to create like a little orchestra inside the guitar. Okay? I
Okay.
think those 3 points are the main ideas that I want you to keep from this lesson. So, and we don't have much time, so you have any doubts, questions, or something? So that's it. Thank you for your playing.
Thank you.
Okay, ciao. Yes, okay. Thank you. Ciao.